Hey, good afternoon. How are you today? This is Jazz, intuitive coach, and you are in the group Living with Intuition, where we use our soul. We allow our soul to lead our lives so that we can have the life and the business that we really love and we feel empowered in. So, this is Q&A Monday. So, it's something new that I want to do with you in this group. So I want you to let me know first if you're here, and then down in the comments, give me your Q&As. So in order for us to feel a little bit more focused into what we're doing, there's going to be a theme every Monday so that it's easier to find a question if you know what we're going to talk about. Because otherwise, the field of intuition and spiritual leadership is just so vast, we can get lost in our own questions, right? Because we don't know what we can ask. So we're starting with something maybe a little bit easy today, which is the topic of grounding. And I chose this one because I received a question from someone in this community asking me, what is grounding? And I said, oh, wait a minute. I have a lot of blogs and videos because I've been teaching since 2014, I think, if not earlier. And so I've been talking about grounding since then. So I have a ton of material. And then when I started going through all that material, I found out that most of my material is in my courses. So you will find it in Reiki courses, in the intuitive development courses, in the Akashic Records courses, but I don't have a whole lot. I couldn't find a video here in this group. So that's why we're starting with that, because I got a question, something that you want to know, and I didn't have the materials yet, so I can't point you to it. So we're starting with what is grounding and what it is not. So I've had a lot of conversations with people over the years about grounding, what it is, what it's not. I've had conversations with people who are afraid of grounding, and people are just confused. They just don't know what it is. And a lot of people who have those spiritual beliefs about grounding, that it has to be really complicated. So I'm here to tell you that grounding is not dangerous, and that grounding is really easy to do. And you don't have to have a whole lot of tools or crystals or meditations or visualizations to achieve a state of grounding. So what is grounding? Why are we talking about grounding? So you know the way that I approach spirituality is a way that is might be a little bit more scientific than some people. And I want you to understand the why we're doing this. So it's not just this big woo-woo thing, but it's something that you can really explain to someone. Because I don't know about you, but for me, when I first started out being an intuitive, I couldn't find the words to explain what was going on, right? Everything is just so woo-woo and so spiritual and so ungrounded. So you can't explain what it is. So it's important that you can explain what you're doing for yourself so that it feels normal for you. It's not something that feels too esoteric. Because the more normal it feels for you, the more you can normalize it, the more you're going to do it, and the better you're going to feel, right? So let's start with a lesson. Grounding is, think about it as electricity, right? So you know that in your house, when you plug something in the wall, so there's electricity that goes through, but that plug-in is actually grounded, right? So there's either that copper wire or there's another device, and make sure that your electricity is grounded. Why do you want electricity to be grounded? Because if electricity is not grounded, you get shocks and sparks all the time, and it can create a fire, right? So that's kind of quick electricity lesson. But you know that your body is also electrical, right? So that's why when you go to the hospital, if ever you're sick, you can have an electroencephalogram so they can measure the electricity and the waves, like the sinus and cosinus, which is very mathematical. They measure that electrical output coming from your brain, from your heart, from your body. Even just going to the gym, they can have like those electric pods on your head and one on your feet. I've had that done before, and it measures like your body mass index, right? So electricity courses through our body all the time. And we as human beings, our bodies is like a battery pack because we produce electricity, we produce energy, right? So when this energy that we are producing is not very well grounded, when we're not grounded, this is how we feel. So we feel spaced out. We might feel tired all the time. We might feel very stressed, very anxious. We might feel very reactive to the world around us. Um, we might feel more angry as well. And we might feel that our energy is super diffuse and it's really difficult to focus into the area where we're going. So if you think of your body and if you can visualize your body being this electrical machine and you're not grounded, your energy is really sparking all over the place. So you might be picking up from other people who are sparking all over the place, and you are letting your energy go all over the place. And that's leaving you feeling confused and stressed and anxious. Okay, you get that? It's simple, right? It's all about your electrical hygiene. So when you are grounded, then how do you feel? When you are grounded, you feel more centered, you feel more strong, you feel calm and focused. So it's easier to go in your life's direction. So even if energies or feelings of fear might come up, you feel the fear and then you can still take the steps because you don't have all that sparking all over the place that stops you from taking action. You're just focused on taking the next step and the next step and the next step in a way that feels good and nurturing for you. So if you had the choice now between continuing going through your life ungrounded and grounding yourself, which one would you choose? So hopefully you're choosing to be grounded, right? So how do you ground? Do you need a big incantation? Do you need a spell? Do you need crystals? Do you need oils? No, you don't. You don't. What you need is your decision and your choice to ground yourself, right? Because as human beings, we're not like those electrical outlets. So we don't have the plugins. We do. Kind of learned that in Reiki, right? You plug in into source, but we don't have the actual physical plug-in. So we don't have an actual physical copper wire going down into the ground. So how do you ground then? You must imagine that your energy is really connected to the earth. The earth is grounding us. So you're grounding your electricity into the earth, but you're also grounding it in the present moment. So this is something else that I want you to realize about grounding. It's not just about growing your roots into the earth. It's not just about imagining that you're a tree. It's not about, melting yourself into nature. There's a lot of really good grounding meditations that do that. Being grounded really means that you are aware of the present moment. You are here now with this breath in this present moment. Because psychically, when you're not grounded, you might be, because your mind in the fourth dimension does not know past, present, future, right? Time is just a loop. It's not a continuum. It's not a straight line, not in the 4D. So when you're depressed, when you're sad, you're often living in the past. When you're really anxious and nervous, you're often projecting yourself into a future. And those past and the futures are usually, if you're feeling those feelings, they're usually not the best case scenarios. They're often the worst case scenarios. So it's continuing to produce all that electrical output of fear and anxiety and depression, right? Makes sense? So grounding is about coming back to the present moment. And you can do that so easily by focusing on your breath. So count. I love to count. My brain loves being loves being busy by counting. So you can count up to the count of 3 and hold to the count of 3 and then exhale to the count of 3. Sorry about that going on. We're co-sharing the office and my husband has his phone on speaker. Shouldn't be too long. So that's part of being grounded, right? Things might happen, but you stay present in the moment. So breathing is one really good technique, and it's something super simple. You can do it anywhere. You can do it on the bus. You can do it while driving. You can do it at the supermarket, right? So count into the count of 3. Hold your breath to the count of 3 and exhale to the count of 3. The other thing you can do is put your fingers together like this. There's actually a circuit in the meridian lines, and feel the sensation of your fingers coming together. Just feeling the sensation of your body. Your body is always in the present moment. Your body is always here now. Your body is not in the past. Your body is not in the future. Your body, the 3D, is always here now. So every time that you can feel your body, you're bringing yourself to the present moment, right? So that is super easy. Okay, so you're breathing and becoming aware of your body, the sensations of your body, closing some electrical circuits. The other thing you can do, especially if you're walking outside, if you're driving, I do that a lot, then you notice with your physical senses, again, we're back to the body. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you smelling? What are you feeling on your body? So the physical sensations, right? So come back, and what are you tasting, right? All the five senses. So come back to all of these physical senses. Spend 5 minutes just noticing, and that'll bring you back to the present moment, and it'll help you feel more grounded. So you're feeling that panic attack or that anxiety coming up, right? I have that really often. So what do? Come back to the present moment. What are things that I can see right now? What can I feel on my skin? So usually it's the wind, it's the sun, the sensation of my clothes. What is it that you can smell? What is it that you can taste, right? So you come back to your five senses. So that's another way for you to feel grounded. Now, in most metaphysical shops, they say, oh, if you need to be grounded, then you need to have crystals and you need to have oils and you need to have all of that. And I'm kind of busting that bubble saying you don't need all of that. All of these extra things, the crystals and the oils and all of that, I love them. Of course, you see, I'm like surrounded with that, so I do use them a lot. But you must remember that these are tools. Okay, it is not what is going to make you feel grounded. Here's my cat cooking in the background. So it's not what's going to make you feel grounded, but they're tools that are going to help you. So you can think of that again if we think more in a mechanical way. If you're going to put a screw in the wall, you can try to turn the screw with your fingers and trying to put that in the gyprock, right? I've done that before. It's kind of hard and it hurts my fingers, but it's doable, right? So you can try to do it on your own. Or you can use a screwdriver. It's a lot easier, but you still have to exert a lot of physical pressure. Or you can use a drill, an electric drill, and then it goes like in just a moment, right? So crystals and oils, they are the tools like the screwdrivers and the drills, and they help you achieve your goal a lot quicker. But they are the tools. They are not the ones doing the work. You are still the one doing the work. You are still the one using the screwdriver. You're still the one using the drill, right? So I want you, and I'm going to say that so often. I've said that so often over the past 14 years. You are the oracle. You are the one doing what needs to be done. It is not the crystal or the oil, but they assist because they are tools. So really good crystals for grounding. A really good one is the black tourmaline. That's really good for grounding. You can put this over your root chakra, and the energy is really going to help you feel more in the present moment. And it kind of, it's like putting a dryer sheet in the dryer, or those wool balls, right? It takes the static away so that you feel more grounded in the present moment. Crystals help with that. The other one is essential oils. Any scent that is woodsy is going to create the chemical reaction in your brain where you can feel more grounded and more rested. So I love cedar for grounding, and Palo Santo, pine. Oh, being in a pine forest, that is like the ultimate place for me to feel grounded. I used to work in a pine forest back in '94, and just the scent of the pine is so relaxing. So if I cannot travel to that pine forest because it's quite far away from here, I do use essential oils to recreate that feeling, and then kind of tricking the mind and thinking, oh, I am standing now in that pine forest, and therefore I can relax and breathe deeply and feel grounded. So again, those are the tools, and they're really, really good tools. But remember, you are the one in charge. not the tools. Sounds good? So that is the mini lesson on what is grounding, what is not grounding. And the one thing that I wanted to say as well, because I had this conversation with this person who was really afraid of grounding. And that came from a tradition of finding that grounding is having that meditation where you pretend that you're a tree and then you're sending down your roots down into the earth. And this person was just really afraid. So she's coming from fear again. When you're in fear, you create from that fear space. So you have to, if you're finding that you have a lot of fear-based beliefs about your intuition, and if you want to release them, coaching programs are really good for that because I can help you release those. We come from love and not fear. So her fear-based belief was that as she was growing her, just a second, please.
Love. Goodbye.
Sorry, I really need to just turn off his speaker. So her belief was that she would grow her roots down into the earth, and then she was afraid that other entities would jump in on her roots and then would come into her body. So that is not the case. That is not how we ground, first of all. So yes, you can put your roots down and feel that presence of the earth, but you're not opening yourself up for other entities to jump in your body unless you want to. And sometimes when you are so bent, so stuck into that fear, into things are going to jump into me, well, inadvertently you open yourself up to that happening, because where you put your focus is where your manifestation happens. So I want to share that with you, but not to create more fear, but just to let you know that that's not what happens with grounding. Grounding is really about being in the present moment, being with your breath, releasing your stress, and just feeling good and focused in life. Okay, so don't be afraid of grounding. Do that regularly. Have a grounding practice every morning. It's really going to help you. And every time where you go out before going to bed at night as well, especially if you're an empath, because you might have picked up those sparks of bad energy, of vibes of other people who are not very well grounded. And it's just, like when you're a wool sock in winter, and at the end of the day, you're just full of lint. So you want to remove all that lint before you go to bed so that you can have a really good restful sleep. And how you remove some of that old lint that you've picked up through the day because you're sparking all the time and you're attracting all the time because you're not grounded. Ground several times a day. Find 5 minutes breathing and becoming aware of your 5 senses and just calming your mind down. The more calm you are, the less you will be picking up that lint from other people because you're not attracting it. Make sense? All right, so that's the lesson for today. That's a wrap. If you have any questions, put that in the comments. And if you have questions about any other topic, let me know as well. And next Monday's Q&A could be all about that. So big love to you from my heart to yours. See you next time.